You're just Lev Parnas joins me on the Dean Blundell Show podcast here, exclusive to Substack, and we're talking about his son Aaron Parnas does some work with Midas Touch. He is the news. We're talking about his hustle, and I said, dude, he's got the Lev Parnas Odessa Brighton Beach hustle in him. He never stops, and he breaks so much news, and he does such a great job, and he fills this fucking incredible void where mainstream media is not existing. Lev, of course, no stranger to Substack, no stranger to you. He's got a book called Shadow Diplomacy, which is excellent. Great read. I did it on the plane when I was on my way to Italy. Fantastic book.
Oh,
We'll talk a little bit
thank
about
you.
that. Yeah, you're
Thank you.
welcome. From Russia with Lev, a Maddow documentary that blew the whole thing wide open, which is leading to a few years of you being incarcerated. I want to start there real quick because I got a bunch of stuff to ask you. We're going to get to Donald Trump literally being unmasked and being laughed at by the free world. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about his mental state, which was front and center at West Point, and we'll talk about Canada and King Charles sticking it to him yesterday in the throne speech, which is a lot of fun. Hi, Kathy. Good to see everybody joining today. Really appreciate it. But I want to talk about prison because, like I said to you, dude, you look great. Like you look like you're trimming down and stuff like that. And you informed me that you gained weight in prison. I've never heard that story before. I've never heard of a guy coming out of jail go, man, I gained a lot of weight.
Well, well, no, when I first came in,
Yeah.
because remember, for me, prison started, a few years in before that. I was at such strict house arrest. I wasn't able to even literally go outside my house and walk the dog for 2 years prior to even going into prison. So, I was not able to really do exercise, go to the gym, do any of that. I was on some of the strictest. My lawyer till this day says he's never seen something like that, especially for the crimes that I actually went to prison for. But yeah, when I got in, depression is very, very messes with your head, and it's first thing you do is you start gaining a lot of weight because you don't want to do anything. You start losing hope. You start thinking, and it's very difficult, especially in my situation. I was coming into a place. I could, talk about the good and the bad of it, but the bad of it is that I didn't know who to trust. I'm walking to a place that was very, very, very politically divided, even inside of prison, not only from your inmates, but to your guards. And the way I had to play myself between certain guards, because they were hardcore Trumpers inside that till this day, I don't think they really, knew they knew that I was close to Trump. They knew I was close to Giuliani. And because of that, that was good for them. And I'm blessed, I got away with it. But, there was a lot of people that, didn't like that, I turned on Trump and were hardcore Trumpers inside. And that's, the depression stage of first coming in and being without your family and being locked up, losing your rights, and they also threw me into solitary confinement for the first week. It was their way of showing me basically that they could break anybody. That's another really messed up thing that they do. I mean, solitary confinement should be, the shoes for the worst of the worst, but they use it for their, they even use it for COVID. I mean, people that were getting COVID sick, they didn't, instead of putting them in a special infirmary wing, they would throw them into the SHU, which is segregated housing unit, which is considered supposed to be the worst of the worst. It's really inhumane. You're locked up 24 hours a day, 23 out of the 24. I was locked up 24 hours a day because I didn't even get that hour to go outside because for my own protection because I wasn't even, I was there like so as crazy as that is. So yeah, the first couple of months were difficult, but then I got, like I said, I got my head on, I started working out, I ended up, by the time I lost a little weight. Now it's, but prison, yeah, it did its job on me.
Yeah, well, I imagine it would, right? I mean, dude, it's just like the ultimate nightmare for everybody, including the guy that put you there, Donald J. Trump, right? Like that's the one thing the dude has run from his whole life. And if I think if it wasn't for prison, he probably wouldn't have even bothered running for president for the second time. It was like him trying to
Yeah.
outrun your experience. But was it when you talk about solitary? Was there a cot in the bed? Did you have a toilet in there?
Yeah,
Uh,
I
you,
mean
you,
that's just so you understand, it's like 6 by 8.
yeah.
I was in solitary two different places in Alexandria, Virginia. It was called the Paul Manafort wing. It was where Paul Manafort spent a year while he was while he was going through trials, and he was locked up there. I actually was the cell next to his. So you're in a 6 foot by 8 foot cell, or 6 by 6. It was a cement slab that forms a bed. There's a little sink in the bathroom. You're not even given soap, you're given powdered soap and powdered toothpaste. Just so you understand. And then you get a sheet like it's supposed to be a mattress with a pillow combined,
Yeah.
but it's nothing. It's not even, and that's it. And you have your jumpsuit,
Mhm.
and you have a towel, a small little towel. That's it. No reading material, no pens, no. I mean, that's why it was so amazing when I got that postcard slipped underneath my door when I was the first in Alexandria. That's why that was completely freaky. When I went into Otisville, it was kind of it was weird because I'll tell you the story if you're interested.
Dude,
So
that's why you're here. Yes, I'm very
so,
interested. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, so I thought to myself, I'm going, plus I know a lot of people that have gone to camps, Otisville being one of them through my life that I lived. So, but I've never went to prison, never myself ever experienced it. So I had no idea what to expect. And at this point, when I was going in, I had nobody that I could speak to. I mean, I've cut everybody out of my life because, not only because of my case, but because of what I was going into. So, I Googled, I researched, and I thought to myself, it doesn't sound bad. It sounds like a camp you're going to. They keep calling it a camp. A camp. How bad could it be? And so I get ready to go in. I said my goodbyes to my family because they were all in Florida. We weren't going to all fly down to New York. I flew in the night before. I drove all the way up. It's upstate New York. Found a little place I stayed over, and right before I walk in, I literally drove up to where it says it's actually a medium security prison with a camp offsite, Otisville. So Otisville is a very serious prison. Medium security is no joke, let me tell you. It's Medium security is worse than probably even max in some places because of the way you're locked out and the way and the people that you have and the gang members and the stuff like that. There's a real difference to it. But anyway, you see the barbed wires, you see the gates. It's just like you see. It's not like in the movies. So I drive up to it, and I thought I'm going to a camp. I took a big joint with me, and I stood standing outside the prison, and I'm smoking a big joint, thinking to myself, this is what I'm gonna do right before I go in. And I smoked this big joint, and I'm feeling good. I'm thinking, okay, I'm now gonna go get into camp. I walk in, and all of a sudden it's like the doors. You start hearing these metal doors start slamming, and when you cross that line and they say, "Oh, we've been waiting for you," and you start reality starts hitting you in like from such a like drastic like boom, like you
Hmm.
you start holy shit. And then you start seeing because they have their way of these guards of bringing you in, very intimidating, very the jokes that they make, the don't drop the soap is not even wouldn't be even a joke in their book. It's very much much
It's
nastier.
serious advice.
Oh yeah. Oh, these guys want to intimidate you, especially with me because they couldn't figure. See, with me, none of them could figure it because none of them were bright enough to watch the news and see that I turned on Trump.
Yeah.
But back then, because I was not on social media and the news cycle changed already, a lot of them, all they knew that because of my records, and when they would read my profile, it says that I was part of Trump Giuliani. And the interesting part is what actually helped me. They tried to screw me, but what helped me is in my docket, in my case, they put that all my movements, and anybody that would be transferred to that prison to be in my facility, it would have to be approved through Washington, D.C., which is a very rare situation. It's like only because, like, to make sure, like, say, if for instance, if Giuliani would be going to prison, he wouldn't be able to be in the same prison as me, or somebody is associate, and all my movement, everything had to be approved through Washington D.C. So a lot of these guys were, lived up there, and they didn't follow the news and really thought that I was still part of Trump and Giuliani. So it was a weird mixture to see. But yeah, so my first realization was they told me, listen, we're gonna give you a week of a little shock treatment so you understand what prison is really like before you get go over the counter. So what they said, yeah, you know, it was the holiday weekend. I think it was Labor Day or something, a long weekend. They said you'll spend a couple of days and then you're gonna go in to camp. A couple of days turned into 8 days actually, and they put me into the shoe. The worst of the worst. I didn't eat nothing. I mean, disgusting. You can't even say you. If in Alexandria, Virginia, I thought it was bad. Here it was like because over there it was a jail. That here this was a prison. So
Mm.
here was already a different. Here you had a double cot that basically when I laid on it on the bottom and I looked on top because if it would be overcrowded, you'd have two people in that place. You can't even imagine two people in that place for sharing that six by
Little
eight.
6 by 8
Six
room.
by eight. I
Fuck.
mean, and you can't even sit because you understand the plumbing is all messed up. So there's half the room is constantly covered with water
Yeah.
coming up from the bathroom. So you can't. So you can. It's like you're constantly putting your towels and all kinds of stuff. Dealing with that. It's either freezing or it's super hot because and there's no light though. The only window is it's blocked up, so you don't know if it's light, if what time it is. The light is always on. The only time you could judge what time of the day is by the meals, because your breakfast was coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then your lunch was coming in at like 10, 11, and
Yeah.
then you knew dinner was around 5 o'clock.
Oh, so it's like complete blackout. Like you don't have any idea what time of the day it is for 8 days. You don't see sunlight. They don't let you out. You're in there with another
Nothing.
dude. He's taking a dump in
Well, I
front of
wasn't.
you.
I wasn't with another dude. I was blessed. I was by myself.
Oh,
But
okay.
but
You get
but I'll
lucky.
tell you that what. At the end of the day, you don't know what's worse because I'll tell you at least with another dude as disgusting and as bad as uncomfortable it might be, at least mentally sane wise, you have somebody to speak to, somebody to hopefully because you could have a crazy dude next to you and then it could get 10 times worse because
Yeah.
it's like the luck of the draw who you get. I could tell you stories about people that I heard inside of different luck of the draw. It could be a great situation where you guys are friendly, courteous to each other, respect each other, and get through the time to move on. But it could be where
Some
you got
psycho kicks your ass in your sleep. Yeah.
or yeah, or it wants to dominate you, or it's just somebody's just sick in the head because a lot of those people are sick. Again, you're in the shoe. The shoe is segregated.
Dude,
How
and
do
you're a
you?
first time. You know what's dawning on me too? I'm listening to your story about how you did the right thing, got sent to jail. I wonder too. Part of this is was there ever an opportunity for you to say, "Hey, okay, I'm gonna sidle up to Trump. I'm not gonna tell the truth. I'm not gonna turn state on the man," which you did, which was fucking heroic, by the way. In your book, Shadow Diplomacy, talks about it. And From Russia with Lev, you got to watch the series, the Maddow series. But what shocks me is this is your first time offender, and you're in fucking solitary.
Yeah, but second time, the first time they held me there for 2 weeks when they first arrested me, because when they first arrested me, what a lot of people don't know is they arrested me and they changed it, they flipped it around. It started off with they arrested me for espionage. They tried to paint the picture that I was a Russian asset working on behalf of the Russians infiltrating Trump, which was a total lie. They knew it. Bill Barr knew all along, but they needed, because without that, you have to understand, without that, there's no narrative.
Mhm.
There's no reason to have the FBI because for
Yeah, you're not going to jail for something that Trump told you to
election fraud.
do,
For
right?
no, no, well, we gotta understand. I went to jail for $2,500 election fraud. That's one of my charges, $2,500 election fraud, and then another, I think, a donation of 50,000 or 100,000. I don't know what they calculate to different. What I'm saying to you is the FBI, CIA, NSA, every three-letter department wouldn't have been following me. Wouldn't have been there would have been no need to if they don't paint me out to be some Russian asset. That's what I don't get arrested on a plane in the middle of the night. I'm not on TV for the next 3, 4 months every single day. And this is the important part. I would not have the bail conditions that I did because of them making me out to. Because of what they did, my bail conditions were so stingent that I was not able to travel, was not able to live a normal life, was not. It was a part of breaking you to be able to always try to break. They even tried to violate my bail several times, lying to the judge, which the judge thing. I got really blessed with the judge I had. I'll tell you honestly. If I did not get, because that's another very big part of the system which people don't understand. There's, it's not, people think that we live in a society where it's, oh, it's all about the jury, or it's all about no, it's a combination of everything. First of all, you have to get lucky with your lawyers. You have to really have somebody that cares, because there's a lot of guys out there that really don't give a shit, or women, men, that just out there to make a buck, make a, what's it called,
Hmm.
make deals behind your back, with the prosecutors and with, what's it called, just to be able to move on, because they all come from the same system. So you have to get lucky to care. Then you have to get lucky to get a normal jury, which is almost very difficult. And I say with all due respect, because I know I believe in the jury system, because I think the jury system is the best that we have. But but you can't be naive. When we go in there with our closed eyes and saying these 12 people are not watching TV, they're not speaking to their people. For I can tell you it's all a lie, because I know plenty of people that have been on juries that have done it, and they're good people. They're not. But it's just life. You, especially if you're on a big case, especially if the president of the United States involved. Yes, you'll have several of them that will be put the blinders on, but you can't guarantee it. So there's no really true, what's it called. And the other thing, when they say jury of your peers, jury of your peers has to be jury of your peers. You can't, if you're dealing with a person in one category or one stuff, you can't have a totally separate of totally different category of people just because that's where the crime occurred. That does not mean that. So there's lots of technical things where it's not. It sounds on the outside like, yeah, you have certain constitutional rights, but it's really not the case. And then when you go in there, everybody says you're presumed innocent, but there's no way you're presumed innocent. No defendant that goes in front of that has any presumption of innocence whatsoever, because you're there. You're either shackled. You have everybody pretends that the government wouldn't lie. So you're coming in there with the burden of proving yourself innocent, not Princess, come here, come here, girl, come here. I'm sorry,
Princess is having a hard time. She either she wants to get out or she wants to come up.
yeah,
Oh
she
yeah,
she
there
she wants to
she
say she
needs
wants to
you.
say hello. She wants to say hello. She- Sorry about that,
Oh,
guys. So
dude, no
uh,
worries, no
yeah.
worries.
So anyway, so I'm saying to you. So
Yeah.
and then the biggest thing at the end of the day, you have to get blessed and be lucky about the judge, because the jury, they can find you guilty. And like, look at my case, for instance. Perfect example. We knew going in that because of the way the case was set up, because the way the jury was picked, and the way the media and the attention, that me get I was probably gonna get found guilty. But the reason why I went to trial is because I wanted the judge, because at the end of the day, the judge is the one that sentences you. He's the one that has the way. We needed the judge to see the truth. We wanted the judge to see that this was a political, that I'm not some kind of Bernie Madoff. I'm not out there doing all of this stuff that the prosecutors are painting me out to be, and the media was painting me out to be at the beginning. Oh, I'm sorry, Bobby.
No.
Get out of here. Let me get the dogs out of here first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's going to deal with the dogs as we kind of go over his prison story and what led to him spending some time in solitary confinement, being thrown in jail for being associated with Donald Trump, carrying out Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani's orders, and we're going through the shackling of one Lev Parnas. Sorry,
Yeah.
continue where you left off. I apologize. Yeah.
Where were we? I'm sorry.
We were at the judge. You said you wanted to
Oh,
get
and
to a
I
judge.
said, yeah, I said the judge is extremely important, because I'll give you, a lot of people don't know my case. I had other co-defendants, and Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, who happens to be the co-attorney general, was supposed
Yeah.
to be my lawyer. He was my co-defendant's lawyer at the time.
This is the
This was
same Todd Blanche that got excoriated in New York
Yeah,
at his trial for E.G. and Carroll,
yeah.
where the judge is like, "You're a fucking idiot." By the way, he's
Well, he
the
was
assistant
right.
attorney general right now.
He was Manafort's lawyer, and this is
Yeah.
who my lawyer. They were my lawyers, and I fought, and then my partner kept them on, my ex partner Igor. So the crazy part is, all my co-defendants took plea deals, and they took plea deals, and in their plea deals was 47 months to 57 months. So a minimum of three and a half, whatever, or 4 years to 5 years in prison for whatever they were offering us. I said, I'm not taking a plea. I'm going to trial, because, and they were threatening me. First of all, they were offering me 57 to 67. They wanted to give me 10 more months than everybody else, because I was the leader, they said. And but the second thing is, I didn't want to. I felt we did nothing wrong, and I said, I'm going to take my chances. So if I lost, they told me I'm looking at 12 to 16 years in prison for this shit. Just so you understand, 12.
What a fucking gamble, Liv. I love it.
No, but so I tell you honestly, I didn't even realize it at that point. Even like sometimes you look back. My son Aaron, now I understand. At that time, he was just getting his law degree, and he was like begging me to take the plea deal. My wife was begging me to play. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Everybody was telling me because the gamble was so high. But you know what? I was so on such an adrenaline flow of fuck that. Like, there's no way. Like, would they put me through? I didn't do this shit. I'm not gonna let you frame me. And when we saw that the judge was receptive to the watching, the trial, that the reason why I took the gamble is because I felt we had an honest and good judge. Because I felt that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, that my sentencing is gonna be in the judge's hands,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think this judge is gonna sentence me more than 5, 6, 7 years, which is what they were offering me to begin with. So that was my gamble. I took it as a businessman, as I looked at it, right or wrong, what I'm saying to you. I looked at it as that gamble. And so our strategy was always to talk to, our case was going to be to the judge. So the judge, interestingly, also decided not to sentence any of my co-defendants until after my trial to hear all the evidence. Because even in their plea deals, the judge could wipe them out and give them a lot more or less or whatever he wants to. These are just agreements. Long story short, after my trial, I lost. I got found guilty on all 6 charges, just like we thought we would. The jury found us guilty on all 6 charges. Uh, and the first thing they wanted was for me to get remanded right there. They said that I'm facing 14 to 16 years in prison, and that I'm a flight risk.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
basically,
Yeah.
they brought in the guys with the shackles to take me in the way. And it was interesting because that was where I first realized that God was good, and I mean I always believed in it, but I saw that I started seeing the path. And the judge said, no, no, he's not going anywhere. He goes, he'll be back here for sentencing. He goes like this, and he let me go home. And that was the first sign, because of that, there might be good to come. Then the next sign was that the judge sentenced the other before my sentencing. He sentenced my co-defendants, and instead of giving them the 37, 47 months that they took pleas to, he gave them a year and a day. So he lowered their sentence. So to me, what's it called? Then a trial, obvious. I mean, then when it came to my sentencing, they were asking for 10 or 12, I think, something like 120 months or something like that. And the judge downwarded to 20 months, saying to, and that was because I actually has a financial case that I pleaded to from 12 years ago that would have never been brought up. Not that I
Mm.
was guilty or not guilty. It wasn't like some Bernie Madoff stuff. It was about me and my 4 of my partners. It wasn't anything crazy. Nobody would have complained. The FBI would have never charged me or spent, but because they needed that charge as an enhancement, because wire fraud, a lot of people don't know it's a minimum of 0, but you could get up to 20 years in prison for wire fraud. And wire fraud is anything. If you pick up the phone, and if I speak to you right now, if me and you speak about something and we commit a crime, that's wire fraud already also, because we use the
Yep.
telephone or we
Yep.
use the computer. So it's, our system, we have a lot of problems with the system, even though we say we live in the free. And again, I'm not saying I was guilty or not guilty of certain things. It's not about me or about others, but being in that, having the experience of going through the system myself and seeing actually how it works, how it played out, I could tell you it's totally the other way. And there's a lot of things that need to change, because I grew up thinking that there's places in the world were unjust, and America was the most just system, that we have rules, boundaries, and I can tell you it's the total opposite. And not because I love America, and America, I would die, die here for my country, but it's unfortunate, because until you live through it and see through it, and that's why I feel and see the pain of a lot of these mothers and fathers, and even individuals that have been for many years crying, how the system has punished them, how it's unfair, how it's persuaded. I mean, just the fact that you go in there, you have to be able to afford any lawyer to be able to fight the government is impossible, because even on the, I'm not even talking about the federal level where you're talking about they have unlimited power to be able to put unlimited, and you guys just think about like a place like the Southern District of New York, you can't get in there unless you graduate like Harvard or Yale or one of those top three. So you got the top of the top of the top, you know, seven, eight lawyers on your case, and here you are trying to defend, and you got to defend yourself. And really, you're telling me, I mean, they could fight, like they said, they could indict a ham sandwich. And again, it is what it is. So that one of the things that hopefully once I'm done fighting with Donald Trump and trying to save our democracy and dealing with this nonsense every day that we deal with it, this is good. This is a passion that I will take up. Prison reform,
Mm.
prison conditions, and again, you know, I'm not for letting criminals go. We'll make it straight out right now. You do the crime, you gotta do the time. But you gotta do there's right or wrong, there's humanity, there's, you know what I'm saying to you, there's conditions, there's we still, you know, there's a way of you still, you know, to punish, because I think the problem with that, and this is my opinion from even somebody that's gone to prison, is prison's supposed to be for rehabilitation and with some sort of punishment. It shouldn't be for punishment with no hope of rehabilitation. And that's why in the United States we have such more of reoccurring crime, because we've stopped,
Rehabilitating.
rehabilitating.
It's all about the punishment.
It's all
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
punishment, and the punishment is becoming such cruel and unhumane that you're taking away. And even after you get out of prison and the way you're, supervised, because right now I'm still on supervised release. One of my problems, I'm still, just think about it, one of the problems I'm dealing with right now is I'm still under supervised release. I still can't travel freely. I have to get, after I did my time, after I got out of prison, still there's a time. So there's a lot of, where you're still and put through certain conditions where most people can't make it. Not only, what's it called? Physically, mentally, but financially, it's almost impossible because
Yeah.
of the strains they put. So that's why you have so much reoccurring crime. But enough. I know we got into a lot of that.
No, it's fascinating. I love the backstory. And people in the comments, we got several hundred people watching right now who are blown away by your story. And as many people know the Donald Trump, Lev Parnas, Ukraine, Giuliani, extortion, bribery story, there's still a lot of people here that didn't know that you did time because you turned state's evidence. And Bill Barr and the FBI and the commandeered, legal apparatus in the United States literally went after you to protect Donald Trump and all of his criminal cronies. And you wrote a really interesting story because we're starting to see a lot of the world mock the man in his second term, and we'll get to some of the reasons why. We'll get to some of the dementia, but if I'm you, knowing this experience that you have, knowing that you did the right thing, knowing that you did the right thing and still serve time on top of being corralled and forced into this kind of stuff with Giuliani and Donald Trump, you had to look at them, and you must look at people in his inner circle who are currently committing all kinds of crimes, whether it be Doge, whether it be Witkoff, whether it be Donald Trump himself with ICE. And I can't imagine the anger or how hard it would be to let go of that anger, watching them continually commit crimes and knowing that you did time for the crimes that they fucking committed.
Well, first of all, Dean, thank you so much. And I just wanted to say to the viewers, actually, if you guys do want, I have a, I don't know if you know either, you should definitely come and listen. I have a little segment I do for my subscribers called Story Time with Lev.
Hmm.
And it's actually today is Wednesday. It's at 5 o'clock every Wednesday. So if you haven't become a subscriber, now is definitely the time. And I read a chapter or two of the book. And then
Hmm.
we go into Q&A. I go into some private stories. So it's really something that I try to give back. So definitely, Dean, you'd love it. Also, come join us every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. It's Story Time with Love. We go into the stories. A lot of people don't know a lot of things. You'll be amazed yourself with the things that I went through and came through.
Yeah, and let me just remind everybody, Lev is such an incredible follow. I think he's number 7 in world politics right now on Substack. He's a rising star there. He's finding his footing there, and I highly encourage everybody to subscribe to this man's Substack. because what you do is you let people in, and there's this veneer around the Trump regime where you don't really know because they flood the zone with bullshit all the time. And you were on the inside. You do understand how these people work, and you are telling the truth. You are going to Ukraine. You are outing his inner circle. So, Lev Parnas, Substack.com. Please go and subscribe to Lev, become an annual subscriber, become a founding member, and enjoy some of the exclusives like Story Time with Lev. Lev remembers. You've got a great post up there now about his inner circle. But yeah, I want to talk to you about not just his inner circle, but maybe some of the fucking resentment that you feel when you see these guys running around collecting Qatari jets and billions of dollars, right?
It's crazy, and I'm sitting laughing with you because I feel good. I feel good because, it's crazy to say, I never thought I would feel good. There are times where I have flashbacks, and I'll get to them, but I feel good overall, in a weird way that I'm not involved in that anymore. I'm able to see it from the outside, and it's scary to see where I was, and watching that power grab will continue. Like, for instance, watching now Elon getting thrown out of the circle, slowly maneuvering out, watching. I know how it's going to play out. I know he's going to be at a point where Trump is going to try to take everything away from him. You know what I mean? But it's you just need some time.
Do you
We're
think
getting
that's going to happen? Because I had a bet with a buddy of mine, Zev, who you've podcasted with us on the Five Stack, and I'm like, I give it like a year before they say he's an enemy of the state and they take all his shit, right, and leave him
Yeah,
destitute.
I think eventually it happens. I think he's already out the door. I think that's why he's already feeling the heat. The problem with Elon, it just is that he's not going to be able to stay quiet.
Hmm.
He's eventually and you already start seeing the remnants of him speaking out against this big beautiful bill, talking about it can't be either big or it can be only beautiful, one or the other, can't be both. I mean, this is already, the fact that you see him not being even in the meeting with the South African president. You didn't see Elon being vocal. You saw him standing there. You saw him making faces. Yes, but you even Trump made a comment saying, "Oh, I'm not going to put Elon on the spot." These, just from somebody that's been there, knows these people, say these are major rifts that are happening, that are taking place. I think Elon is also, you gotta understand, like a lot in Trump's world, why the rifts are happening is because of his tariff games that he keeps playing in, because what he's doing to the economy and to what he's doing to a lot of these companies and stocks. I mean, people are really losing money. I mean, we don't talk about it because there's so much craziness that happens every day. Just like we don't talk about women's rights and Roe versus Wade anymore because it's just so that low on the totem pole to save our democracy. What do you talk about? But people are feeling it. I mean, when it hits you in your pocket. So the people like Elon, you saw the riff with already Tim Cook. I mean, there's no way Apple's going to come back here and build iPhones at $3,500, $4,000. I mean, you fucking kidding me? It's not happening. I mean, it's not reality. I mean, Trump's gonna break. I mean, and this is the things, But unfortunately, like people are starting to see it, feel it, understand it, and that's why I keep saying, yeah, as bad as it is, we need to keep doing what we're doing. Now is not the time to step back and say, no, no, now's the time we press harder. Because even though, like, I'll give you an example, even though you see people like even Ron Johnson, I wrote about it in my Substack, Senator Ron Johnson, who it was the initiator and creator of pumping Russian disinformation into the halls of Congress, supporting Trump. I mean, I know these people very intimately, was involved in his first administration, supported Trump through all of the, January 6th, Ukraine, all of that stuff. Even he's going against the bill. And some might say, oh, yeah, but he's going against it because he wants more Medicaid cuts. Granted, it's not the point. He's going against Trump.
Hmm.
That's what you guys have to understand. I mean, right now, it's a different mentality. It's not, they're not negotiating. Trump's not negotiating with anybody. Trump's not walking in and saying, okay, oh well, you don't like that. That's why they're speaking out publicly, because Trump's giving them an ultimatum behind closed doors: is you guys have to do this, and you're seeing the cracks. So when it comes to guys like Elon, I think Elon has more problems than anybody else because he got too close. more close than anybody else.
Yeah, he got real close, and he also really held himself above Donald Trump for a long time. And it's funny because early in this term of his presidency, I don't know if you remember that, Donald, it was like 2 weeks into it, everybody was talking about President Musk and First Lady Trump, and it really got under Donald Trump's skin. And he at a speech, he's like, "I just want everybody to know he can never be president because he's not American, so I don't have to worry about that." Like
And
you could totally tell that his ego was driving his
absolutely.
increased hatred of the guy who funded his return to office.
Absolutely. And the first tell, I mean, Trump's a bad poker player. The first tell is he'll talk about it.
Yeah,
When he talk, and you could tell, like, there's things he talks about, things he doesn't talk about, and you know what's serious, what's not. And
yeah,
that's why I say is with Trump, you gotta worry about the things he doesn't talk about, not the things he talks about sometimes, because it gets a little bit, dicey over there. Just like what's happening with Ukraine and with Putin and everything. I mean, like, just think about what happened over this Memorial Day weekend, and the rants and the thing. I mean, first of all, let's start off with
yeah. Did you see his West Point speech? Did you see his
well, let's start
trophy
off with the
wife?
worst. I mean, this is what I'm saying to you. I mean, it's like he's go when he you could start seeing the real cracks because he goes off script, and when he
Yeah,
goes off script, he starts rambling and mumbling and going into now situations of what's going. That's why I'm saying he's not. See, and this is more dangerous, so that's why I'm sounding the alarm bells even more, because it's one thing when you have, let's say, somebody that's a bad dude, somebody that's a dictator, somebody, whatever you want to call him, however, whatever adjective you want to give him, but a
yeah,
bad dude, that's bad. But when you have a bad dude that's unhinged, or in mental decline, or
yeah.
not all there, or uncertain, that's chaotic. That's a different level. That's a little, because you know what I'm saying to you. Yeah.
Well, and you bring up a great point, right? Like he's at this stage, and I want to talk about that dementia stuff and some of the things people are saying in his inner circle because I know a few people that are associated with people in his orbit, and they're like, dude, they're hiding his dementia. They're hiding it right now because you know what happens when you get to be that old dude that has been unhinged and unchecked your whole life. You not only lose the ability to reason, but you lose any desire for any consequence. And a guy like Donald Trump at that age, hi Jill, hi everybody for joining, really appreciate it. Hundreds of people here to watch Lev Dish, which I love. But you've got a guy that is still governed by the same shitty moral compass he's always been governed by, knows he's 80 years old and doesn't give a fuck and can't remember what he did the day before, right? And so that dementia piece makes him even that much crazier, that much more unhinged, to your point.
And this is where I have a problem with Jake Tapper and CNN. And this is where I have a real big problem with them, because right now, instead of concentrating and going after, and again, it's not a matter
He's
of
selling a
going
book, dude. Jake is selling a book.
that's why I have a problem. I mean, they're selling a book, and then there's keep. Just think about it. You can't keep Trump, one of what Trump does in the media long enough for 2 hours without them changing it, and Trump plays them like a fiddle when it comes to the media. Jay Tapper's book has been. I've been watching Jay Tapper from morning to night talk about on different CNN shows, and I go on them not because I like CNN, but because I try to compare and see what the media is reporting and not reporting, to make sure that when I write my Substacks, what I report on, what I be able to give you inside looks, is to be able to call the media out or tell you what's true or what they're not reporting on. So
Hmm.
that's the only reason I even watch CNN, just so you understand that. And it's there's nothing to watch. I mean, there's no those blurbs about something about news somewhere, and then there's Jake Tapper on there all day long talking about different parts, how there was this major cover up to Biden, which again. I'm not saying that we shouldn't look into. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been maybe a news for a day or a couple of hours or whatever the case is. But give me a break, a week. And how come we're not talking? Okay, if you're already doing that, I'll even give you that. How come you're not right away comparing Trump's mental stability? If you're already going to go and say, okay, we're going after the president of the United States, and okay, because Biden's not president anymore. And again, I'm
Hmm.
not defending Biden. It's not matter. You could love him, hate him. This is about right or wrong, guys. Because I told one thing you know about me, it's about factual. I try
Hmm.
not to play that policy bullshit or try to be Democrat, Republican. I try to be common sense because we're all normal human beings. because this isn't about like if you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or you're from Canada or you're Ukrainian. We all have common sense. We all have humanity. We have understand. So what we're saying to you is, if you're sitting here and you're going to go trash the guy that has no relevance to what's going on, is not in charge of it, and yes, it's a story, but you're not even going to bring up like his mental competency. You're going to say,
Which
"Oh,
is on
Trump."
display every fucking day, right? Like that's the
Right,
thing
like
about it, Lev. It's on display
that's
every day, and
it's.
he
I
is the
mean,
worst.
that's.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to talk about his West Point speech, how that was such mental decline, about what those students had to go through in there. What I mean, and then afterwards, you're going to go through what happened through Memorial Day. All of a sudden, just think about it. He went on he went on national television, and Trump, and also tweeted on his Truth Social, finally saying that he's been covering up for Putin for all these years.
Yeah,
He's
did you see that
finally
tweet
said,
today? Did you see that tweet today? It was like things would be way worse. It was yesterday. Things would be way
yes,
worse for Putin if I wasn't protecting him effectively. And I'm not even paraphrasing. Like it's almost word for word.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying to you. I mean, he doesn't even realize what, because like I always said, and this is the one thing I tell everybody, why it's important to that you listen to what I tell you, is because I know the guy's moves. He works off emotion. He doesn't, you think, you assume, a lot of people like the Democrats assume that he does certain things. And when I say Democrats, I don't talk about any of you subscribers, any of you viewers or people. I talk about the people that run the party, because
Mhm.
I have a lot of blame for a lot of people there that are still, are hiding, nowhere to be around. Or because if you think about who's really fighting this fight, it's us. It's, you got people that are standing up to Trump on social media networks like Substack and others like that are, reporting, standing up, fighting to him. But everybody else, the media is basically bowed down to him. He's gone after the lawyers and everything. I mean, so anyway, uh,
Well, and you know what? It's you bring up a good point. I mean, because it works, right? Threatening people works. Like I don't know if you saw the note last week. There was an article. In fact, I think it was on the weekend. How U.S. judges in the judiciary don't trust the U.S. Marshals or ICE because they're under Trump's thumb, and so they're considering arming themselves with a brand new law enforcement organization, arming themselves, judges across America, to protect them from the fucking president of the United States and U.S. Marshals who are supposed to protect judges but can't, specifically if Donald Trump gives them an order to go and arrest one.
well, this is the beginning of these conversations. And again, I'm not here to scare anybody, but because I'm not going to sugarcoat, I'm going to tell you. But these are the beginnings in countries where you start revolutions. I mean, where you start wars, where you start, internally, because the next step, the next step is where you're going to start seeing states,
Yeah.
individual states, because what Trump is doing, he's going after individual states like California. Like he's not, not only like colleges, but he's going after states about, if you don't play ball or do what I tell you to do, I'm not going to give you the federal funding and stuff like that. So this is exactly. And again, remember, we're only 120 days into it.
Yeah.
This hasn't been 3-4 years of every day. Imagine going through this for 2-3. That's why I urge and I tell every single person every time I'm out here. I might sound like a broken record, guys, but hopefully you'll thank me one day, when we save our democracy, because I tell everybody, you can't wait till tomorrow. Can't wait till 2026. Can't wait till 2028. You have to do it today, literally today. Do something. Restack this information. Go speak to 3-4 people that you know, and not only in the United States, all over the world, because
Hmm.
we need to keep it, because we have viewers and followers all over the world out here that are what happens, what Donald Trump is doing. It's the tariff game. That it doesn't just affect us as Americans. It affects Canadians like you, Dean. You guys, your world is upside down. It affects people in all of Eastern Europe. I mean, tariffs he's throwing around. Just think about the tariffs he's throwing, how that affects us. Think about the tariffs, how it affects those countries that are already doing worse than us to begin with. So nobody's even talking about that, the chaos and that's going on all over the world. So each and every one of it, you have to. The voices have to be heard, because this is much bigger than just an election, or that we need to get. And like you said, Dean, you started off. We spoke about this, and I say this all the time. It's not like we need 1,000 people. We need three, four, five of these congressmen or women that are in there, and they're in there. They have the souls to put enough pressure on them to start joining forces. And now nobody's talking about changing parties. Nobody's talking about agreeing with even policy. See, this is the crazy part. I'd say right away, forget about take all the policies out the window. Just unite on one thing: saving our democracy. Let's unite in saving what about right or wrong, about being able to have a place where we could still debate policy, that we could talk about it while we still can before it's too late.
Mm.
That's what I keep talking. That's my call to action. That's why I say, and that doesn't mean we don't go out there and protest. That doesn't mean we don't go out there and write letters. No, it means we do everything, because one thing is not going to change it. It's a combination of everything. It's a combination of going out there and protesting, writing your letters to your congressmen, senators, writing letters even from out of the country, because believe me, these people listen and watch and see, and they see, especially with the way social media is nowadays. The way social media, all of these people are on social media. They all want to be celebrities and stars. There's ways to get to them so easily. They're out there. Let the voices be heard. Be loud and clear. Subscribe, join, to all of us, everybody out there that is out here fighting for it and being able to make a difference. And that's why I say the one thing you can't do, Dean, the one thing that disrespect is you can't say I can't do nothing,
Yeah.
because that's one thing, because history is going to judge each and every one of us because of what we're, because of how our kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and so on and so on. Because right now it's a major turning point, not just in the United States, all over the world.
Yeah.
Because what happens here reflects everybody and what's going on. Just think about the craziness. I mean, just a little bit, how the King of England traveled to Canada yesterday, and really kicked
Major
it to.
shot across the
But,
Trump bow
but
yesterday. Just
I,
fucking humiliated him. It was the
that's a
best.
but think about the world we're living in, guys. Like how
Yeah.
crazy it is. This is fucking insanity. Like, because of one guy. And
Yeah.
it's not one guy, it's because you have a bunch of spineless people are
Dickheads.
so you
Pricks.
said it, I did. Sold their soul to the devil, and basically
Yeah.
allowed him, because we say it all the time. He himself would not be able to do all. That's why I don't always blame everything on him, because listen, that's why we should, guys, just think about it. The reason we have rules and regulations and boundaries and barriers is because we're all human beings. You could get into office, you could be a totally sane person, and all of a sudden you could get sick. It happens to you. You
Hmm.
don't you don't have to be evil. You could get sick. You have mental health is a serious, serious issue, and I'm not saying it lightly. So that's why you have barriers. That's why you have the 25th Amendment, to be able to make sure. Oh shit, he might not be well. We need to take him out for the country. It's not about personal thing. That's gone. Nobody even thinks about that.
Can I ask you a
But just think,
question?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. You talk to people in his orbit quite a bit still. You've got insiders, you've got plants, you got people in the White House. Don't think for a second Lev isn't plugged in people. This is Lev fucking Parnas, by the way. Are they talking about Trump's mental decline and the effort that is going into hiding him, which isn't going very well whatsoever?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's constant. I mean, and it's been going back, and it's not just recent. That's the whole thing. It's been going back to like towards the end of his campaign. Going back, after the gunshot and all of that type of stuff. There's been, you could see, if you go back to, you'll see, you'll start seeing a lot of it, and a lot of it that's not just Trump being Trump, but now you'll see the way he talks about what he talks about, and you'll start seeing more of just like, what about, just think about this. A lot of people don't even think about how serious about the guy. I'm going to take you guys back. Listen, it hasn't been that long. It's only been 6 months ago. If you recall, he came out and told a story about how he was in a helicopter ride that almost crashed
This is the
with
mayor
the
of LA.
mayor,
He was talking about it with the mayor of LA, if I'm not
mayor of
mistaken.
San
San
Francisco.
Francisco. Yeah.
Mayor of
Okay.
San Fran-
Yeah.
the so the mayor of San Francisco, the guy comes out and
What the
says,
fuck?
"You're an idiot." We've never been in a helicopter together. It never happened. So a normal person and this is where we say you start seeing mental decline because he wouldn't do that on purpose. He's not. He doesn't want to look crazy. He's embarrassed by that, but he doesn't because he doesn't have a reverse level because that reverse level was broken by a guy by the name of Roy Cohen, which I
Mm.
speak about, which was his mentor, was a guy that told him you never go back, you only go forward, and that's when
Have you seen The Apprentice? Have you seen the movie?
I have not seen The Apprentice yet, but I gotta see it. Everybody's been
Dude,
telling me I gotta watch. I gotta see it.
dude,
Yeah,
if any of that is true, which I assume it is, because he tried like crazy to prevent The Apprentice from coming out with Sebastian Stan and the guy who played Roy
Which
Cohn.
part? Which part? Maybe I can confirm it. Which part? I didn't see
The
it yet.
fact okay, let's go through it, see if you can confirm The Apprentice. That he's an amphetamine addict.
Who, Trump?
Yeah.
Never seen him take amphetamine, so I don't know.
Does he wear a diaper? Yes or no?
Didn't get that close and personal, so no.
Okay. That Roy Cohn effectively taught him everything he knows, which is about subversion, getting information on people, using that information to put those people in a cage, no matter who they are, and always attacking, and telling people and lying to people, just flat out lying, no matter what happens, and never giving up your position in that lie.
100%. That I could verify. And not only that, but Roy became his mentor right after his dad. So basically, Trump was going through some shit with his dad. You know, his dad was basically in Brooklyn and Queens guy that stayed in the low house income, and Trump had this vision of New York City. And back in those days, New York City wasn't the New York City like we see nowadays. It was like, run down, and Trump had some crazy ideas. And so he had to, so he that's where he like made the shift where he go because his dad wouldn't support him with that. And that's when he went not only Roy Cohen, but that's when he got into like when I talk about Trump dealt with some of the most powerful mobsters,
Yeah.
heads of the Genovese, the Gambino, because these guys controlled all the unions, controlled all the. That's what people don't understand. You couldn't have built a building without dealing with these guys. So Trump has dealt with a lot of different individuals in his life that people just don't even talk about.
So
But but yeah,
so let
but
me
100%. Roy Cohen was his and the crazy, the ironic crazy part about it. You talk about Roy Cohen. Roy Cohen taught him not to give a shit about people as human beings.
mhm.
Taught him how what's it called? And at the end, when Roy Cohen was dying, Trump repaid him. The Trump didn't go see him like he did in the hospital or something like that. I don't remember the exact story, but I remember people like that I knew, like some of the Italian guys were telling me that he fucked Roy Cohen over.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, towards the end of Roy Cohn's life, there's a scene in the movie that kind of depicts, the end of their relationship, and he brought
you
him
know
down to
why?
Mar What's
Do you
that?
know why? Do you know
No.
why? Does it tell you in the movie why? I'll tell you why.
Because he had AIDS?
Because yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It says yeah,
yeah.
because Trump wouldn't even come next to him because he had AIDS, wouldn't even go visit him or shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he put him at the end of the table, wished him happy birthday, sent him out of the room, and then he had the entire room fumigated. No
Yeah.
word of a lie. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
just
mean,
who
I
Trump
wasn't
is.
there, but I heard those stories also. I mean, if that's in the movie, I would say that's pretty much true because that's what I heard the same shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Lev Parnas, our guest, Lev Parnas on Substack. Please subscribe to his Substack. It's great. He's got a couple of really, really key pieces on the inner circle collapsing around Trump right now. I want to pivot a little bit to Vladimir Putin. It's funny because everybody thinks he's a Russian asset. You've maintained that he's just an opportunist and an authoritarian in waiting. But you're not just seeing cracks in his inner circle. To reference your incredible piece, you're seeing cracks in those new, hopeful relationships that Trump has with Z, who's currently mocking him right now in the state of China, mocking him, basically telling him he's an idiot. Donald Trump, went after Putin the other day, and Putin's just lobbing thousands of drones and ballistic missiles into Ukraine, going for broke at the moment, which we'll get to in just a second. And Trump put out a tweet saying, "Hey, this isn't my guy. This isn't the same guy I knew." And then he put out another tweet. Medvedev answers that, and he's like, "Hey, listen, you want scary? How about World War III?" So now they're going back and forth. You're seeing cracks in those relationships, no matter what goes on behind the scenes. Which I'm sure you understand what goes on behind the scenes with a guy like Putin and Trump, and maybe some of those phone calls. But what do you make of that tension between the Trump regime and now the Putin regime, Trump and Putin? Is this performative stuff or is this real? Like, I mean, does has Russia been? You know, we know they've been lying to Trump the whole time. We know that he's been being played the whole time. But is this tension real or is this just an act to get us to look the other way?
It's a combination. It's a combination. So as far as Russia has definitely expected this, has planned for this. It's part of Russia's plans of everything that's transpiring. When it comes to Donald Trump, a lot of what you see is very emotions. A lot of things that he's. That's why all of these oval meetings that you see, it's the way the meeting's going to go. It depends on if you take a look at each meeting is the same thing. It depends on how one of the other president how he answers a certain question, and then you can see Trump's face change one way or the other, and you see how it goes. It's yes, there's played out, there's preparation just in case Trump goes into these things like business meetings. It's not going into strategical planning. Overall he goes into, well, I'm going to go this way. If he does this, I'm going to do this, like in that and that's in such a way. So in Trump's way, him saying the things he said, I think that was emotional because he didn't expect Putin to start such an assault and barrage after their conversation. But this was part of Putin's plan along because you got to remember, those of you that read my Substack, the conversation, that part of the 2 hour conversation that Putin and Trump had, which wasn't, you didn't see all the transcript and it wasn't all reported on, but part of it was basically that Trump was going to step away because Trump is becoming a liability and not an asset for Putin when it comes to the Ukraine war. He's done his job already. He's already basically destroyed, relations between Ukraine and America, where America is not giving them any help. No, there's not even conversations of any bills or any money going there. They're not. We're not even selling them weapons. Trump won't even sell them weapons. So he did his part. He basically did his part by already getting Russia back on the conversations of dropping sanctions and bringing him back into the G8. He's doing his part by recognizing Crimea as a Russian territory, because by doing that, automatically it's going to lift a bunch of sanctions going back to 2014. So Trump's already doing it. Where the negative part comes in is because Trump is unpredictable. They can't control him with what he says by setting up, because what Putin, that is instant, that Turkey meeting, that was done because of Trump. Putin wasn't planning on meeting. They didn't need to do that. They had to improvise. So when Trump needed a cover for his trip to the Middle East, and so nobody pays attention to what his family or what he's doing or what's going on over there, he needed the media to shift and have an announcement. That's why all of a sudden you had Putin come out of the blue and say, "Oh, well, you know what? Let's have unconditional talks."
Yeah.
And then and that made the big story because, oh my God, Vladimir Putin wants to meet with Zelensky. But then all of a sudden you saw with every day that story digress, where it's not Putin that wants to meet with Zelensky, to the degree where they were even confused if Putin's even going to show up or not.
Yeah.
It was all planned. And then you had Trump playing that game, being a useful, oh, I might show up if Putin shows up. If he doesn't show up, I'll show up. It was all distract and play games, because you got to understand, Dean. I've said it all along, and I'm going to tell you guys, the real players that are negotiating and talking behind the scene is not Trump and Putin. It's Witkoff with Putin, Witkoff with a guy named Kirill Dmitriev, Witkoff, Jared Kushner. Witkoff is the key to it. And the way the conversations goes, you have to understand, Donald Trump doesn't trust his personnel, his what's it called, military, even though he's handpicking him himself. He considers that the deep state. So he trusts a guy like Woodcock that's going to come in and explain to him and say, listen, the media is just trying to get you guys into an argument. Putin knows. Listen, Putin didn't take it. This is how he tells him. Just so you gotta understand, I don't have to be in the room to tell you that Putin is not taking all of Ukraine because of you, President Trump, because of respect to you. Because if it wasn't for you, Putin would take all of Ukraine. And Trump's like, you know what I'm saying to you? Putin is scared of me. You know what I'm saying to you? So don't let them play you. The fact that he's attacking, you have to understand, Ukraine is attacking inside of Russia right now.
Mhm.
The Germans are allowing them to get with what you listen. I'm curious myself if the next Truth Social or conversation Trump's going to have about this whole thing is how he's going to attack the EU, how he's going to attack Zelensky for making more of this war as an aggressive thing, and by sending in now with these long range missiles and all of that type of stuff. So again, when I say Trump, they don't. Trump is not in the conversations with them where they're planning this out. Trump's getting information, and he's then emotionally reacting to the information that he gets. So they properly know how to feed the proper information. So as he gets it, you see these emotional responses. Sometimes they're a little unpredictable. The fact that he called Putin crazy was something that, trust me, they did not predict, and they tried to cover that up. And Russian media, they tried to take that crazy part out of everything that Trump said.
Oh, did they?
That
They tried to edit the whole thing out?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, of course, But that was the only thing because again, Trump's unpredictable, so that's why
Yeah.
they don't have that. So yeah. So with that said, but again, as far as Russia's concerned, it's business as usual.
Yeah.
They're unplanned. They got their reprieve. They got because you got to understand, it's not just Russia fighting Ukraine. People think it's Ukraine. Ukraine is standing there fighting Russia. They're fighting
North
Chechens
Korea,
and North
China,
Korea,
yeah,
China, and now you got
Iran.
also Iran. Now you also have what's it called, Victor Urban from Hungary.
Yeah.
Planning attacks on Belarus has people coming in. I mean, Ukraine is literally fighting against many, many countries, and so just think about how bad Russia's doing and how good. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. And the other thing with Trump, I always say that the good part where he's unpredictable is the second he starts believing or thinking that Russia is not as powerful as they are, because the biggest key between is in Trump's mind. Russia's still that Soviet Union, that oligarchy, that money, that power, that nuclear weapon. You know what I'm saying to you? Once that goes out of his mind and he realizes it's not the same Russia and they might be losing, then we have a chance where I said, but then it becomes dangerous also because, again, I don't know what's worse, what he's doing now, or if he presses on Russia, because remember, Russia is a nuclear power. And Russia does have nuclear weapons, and Trump, that's where the emotions and shit. That's where I again come and bring it back here to the United States, where we need some sort of balance, and that's why I say we need to get these senators and congressmen and push on some of them to get to
Mhm.
gain boundaries, because so this way he's not doesn't have the capabilities or the fears, because he can't just press a button. It's in the movies, you press a red button. There's a process, and there has to be certain things that happen that for him to be able to allow to go to that degree.
So, Lev Parnas is our guest, by the way, everybody. Again, a hearty reminder to go and subscribe to his Substack. He is incredible. He dishes. He's honest, and he's on a mission for America right now. Part of the resistance, if you will, where democracy needs to stand up for democracy and the people who love it and protect it. Guys like Lev, everybody here on Substack, including us, who are trying to reach across the border and have bigger, wider conversations about this whole thing. But going back to how dangerous he is in terms of his bandwagon jumping, which you're talking about right now, right? Which is like if he notices that finally that Russia's a three dressed as a fucking nine, and they're going to lose, he's the first guy to switch teams and go, oh, okay, let's
Absolutely.
let's
Yeah.
launch some fucking missiles over at Ukraine and let them go for broke and stuff like that. But he's been pretty consistent about a couple things, and people take him less seriously than ever. And I had a conversation just to pivot to Canada's big day yesterday with the King of England coming into town, tearing a strip off Donald Trump and MAGA, and then the throne speech where Mark Carney laid out and then announced the next day that not only are we separating from the United States, we're running into the arms of willing partners to have partnerships like the UK, the EU. Our military procurement process is going to be signed by July 1st, moving militarism and dependency of the United States away from the United States. He launches this Truth Social tweet yesterday where he effectively said, "Hey, listen, if Canada wants to be the 51st state, we've got this big space missile Golden Dome program that's going to cost 61 billion, and they get it for free if they just sign up to be our 51st state. We up here, Lev, to your point, we know how dangerous and stupid he is. We're laughing at him at this point because it
Yeah,
was
I'm
such
laughing.
it's like honest to God, like we're dying laughing at this. And I talked to someone in Carney's orbit, and they're like, "Hey, listen, dude, this is how we look at it from now on. This is Carney's entire thing. Every time he tweets something about Canada, we laugh and say, "Oh, that's nice," and then we wait for him to tweet about fucking Taylor Swift. Like that. When will the rest of the world catch on to that?
As crazy as this sound, that's exactly what Russian press secretary Peskov came out and said. When they asked him, he said, "Yes, Donald Trump about the crazy remark." He said, "Until we wait till what he tweets tomorrow, it's going to be something totally different." I mean, but that's the biggest part where I think we're watching a decline, and it's serious and it's funny and as crazy as it is. I think it's a decline because there's nobody out there that wants such the craziness and instability, because like I said, the good part about it, because of this, is we're seeing the cracks internally, and we're seeing, because just like you said, like, just think about Carney. I mean, anybody with a half a brain, you don't have to be a genius. I mean, and even a little common sense understands that, first of all, we don't have a golden dome. Second of all, Russia, Ukraine, I mean, and China just came out and said, "What the fuck are you even talking about? What golden dome?" Second of
dude,
all,
there's an expert, a defense expert, who's like he got his doctorate in physics. He's like, not only is it absolutely fucking physically impossible to do, you need Canada's permission to do it. And we're
right.
and we're like, yeah, let's talk about that next week.
No,
Like,
but just think about it. But he's already selling it to you. It's like a
yeah,
real just think about it. And I keep saying it, everything in his head is like a real estate deal. Because he's already pre-selling it to you. Like, when you before you build the building, you go up and you sell the first 10% of the building, so you get the money to go get then the financing. That's how you build a building.
sure.
You know what I'm saying to you? So here he's doing it. He
It's the
wants
only
to
thing the
build.
idiot understands. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So in his mind, he's saying to himself, "I gotta. How do I pass it through my people, my Congress, my that I could get this wall built? Not wall. I'm sorry, this dome built. This fantasy golden dome. Well, they're talking about it's going to cost about 100 something billion. What if I come and say
61
I get
billion. Yeah.
no, 61 billion was Canada's part, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
That's
nice.
it's over 100. That's what I say. And so this way he wants to come with them and say, "Listen, it's going to cost us 100 something, but I already got 61 billion up front from these idiots up there up north. Like, so
No.
we're good to go. All I need is another." That's how he thinks in his mind. It's not real. Just think about it. Look, guys, I want to say something. A lot of times people say, "Don't listen to what Trump's saying. He's doing it." And I'm going to say yes and no. You have to really be careful and use your common sense, because that is part of one of part, and then I gotta go soon on this, but I want to make sure that this is a very important thing, Dean. That's part of Trump's strategy, is to confuse you of what to believe he's crazy or just saying, just or and what he's saying he really means. Just like there was an Italian mafia boss in the Genovese crime family called Vince Giancante, that used to wear a robe, walk around the city and pretend that he was crazy, senile, always wear a robe, and the FBI for many years wouldn't arrest him and go after him because they thought that he was mentally insane. But that was all just a game, until eventually they arrested him, put him away, and he died in prison. Long story short, Donald Trump has that same thing. And I see it works a lot with a lot of people, because you hear when he comes out and says something like, I'm not going to leave, I'm going to stay in power after the 2028 election. And I see people say, "Oh, don't listen to what he's saying. He's saying that to distract you from the real reason." Scary, because that he's really means. Though that's what he means. And I'll give you another example of what Donald Trump says that people do listen to, and he doesn't mean. I'm going to build in the Gaza Strip, the Riviera of Trump hotels, and we're gonna just displace 2 million people, and then we're gonna build that. He or Canada's going to become our 51st state. See, those are things that are not happening. He knows they're not happening. Donald Trump knows there's no way Canada's becoming 51st state. But that's he needs to do to change the news cycle. That's why yesterday, while Russia was responding to him, and King Charles was in Canada telling him, go screw yourself, and Russia was telling him that he's emotionally overloaded and he needed to change the cycle somehow. He came out and said, you know what? Canada, give me $61 billion. See, that's what I'm saying to you. That's where we use our common sense to say, nah, that's not going to happen. Let's not that. See, this is why I have pissed with the media. Why are you even writing about that? Why should we even talk? See, this is where the media should get a little smarter and say, nah, we're not going to chase that story. We're going to stay on that story that you said that Putin is crazy.
Mm.
Let's stay on that story. Let's understand how you just covered up for Putin for all these years because you said that you've been helping him. He would be in a lot of trouble if it wasn't for you. Why did you help him? If he was in trouble, why not this would have ended up? So the real story, the real thing he said is being covered up and the media chases the story and goes off. And that's why I'm going to end it on this, guys, and say, Dean, you need to follow guys like Dean and subscribe because, people like the Midas guys, Zev, Olga, my son Aaron, it's because they are out there really bringing you the actual news, the actual what's happening, and bringing you guys like me. I say I'm not a journalist. I'm not bringing news. I make the news. I'm on the inside. I was on the inside. Know people on the inside. So I'm here giving you stuff that you guys could talk about. That really an understanding of what's happening, and that's why I say to you, it's important to keep this platform alive because the one things I'm going to tell you is if we don't get bigger quicker with all the support, that's why every subscription, every follow, every I tell each and every one, go get close your eyes right now for 1 second before we go. Just do me a favor, everybody, close your eyes. We have almost 800 people here, and just think to yourself, what can I do today to make this platform, make this movement bigger? Who can I speak to? Can I speak to two, three more people at work or when I go out there or do something? Can I subscribe? Can I restag? Did I like this message? Who can I email this to? Who can I bring on there? Let them listen to so they don't have to listen to me. How can I do it? And each and every one of you will come up with something. You'll come up with. Some of you will go out there and do several things. You'll go protest, you'll go subscribe, you'll become paid subscribers. Some of you can't do all these things. You're busy working. You could just become paid subscribers to support the message. Some of you can't afford to become paid subscribers. You could send a message, restack. So there's something for everyone to do, and it's teamwork. And that's why I say to you, but the one thing you can't do is do nothing. So with that, I just want to say, God bless America, God bless Canada, God bless Ukraine, all the world, and everybody out there that's fighting for freedom, for democracy, because right now it's not just the United States; we're at war all over the world. There's a major movement that's being pushed by and that unfortunately our President Trump that has been the leader of this movement that's being taken. But I see it, and I'm telling you, democracy is winning. I see the cracks, and it's going to keep. The only way we're going to win is if each and every one of you doesn't stop today. Keep putting the pedal to the metal. Keep putting the pressure on. Keep
Keep
doing.
going.
Keep going. Do whatever you. I mean, if you
Yeah.
guys donate, contribute, go out there. Remember, January 14th, we're going to have some major protests out there. It's going to be, don't forget, the Orange Man is planning a victory birthday celebration for himself. While the world is burning, economy's in shit, tariffs are all over the place. He's fired God knows how many people. He's trying to put in a bill to cut our, what's it called? Medicaid. He's threatening Canada, threatening Greenland, all over the place. And he's having we're going to have you're not even ready for this, folks, because if it's anything to what I remember him talking about in 2019 or 2017, I think it was, this is going to be a serious, serious shit show. But what we're
Mm.
planning is I'm hearing that we're going to have lots of protests in every city, every state, except for Washington, D.C. So I'll tell you where I'm at. We're definitely going to be going, I think Malcolm and Mike, there's a bunch of us. We're going to be going out there protesting and doing it live and stuff. So make sure you subscribe. And today, Dean, I hope you're there. 5 o'clock, we're going to have story time with Lev.
I'll be there.
I I think today is
Always
chapter.
am, dude. Always
Yeah,
am.
I think it's chapter 7 or 8.
Okay.
Uh, Definitely, you guys want to come into it. It's going to be because a lot of what we're going to go into, a lot of it has to do with the same people and characters that are still there today. I mean, just think about it. It's not just Donald Trump. It's like Vladimir Zelensky. Before he even came into office, I was the first person there in the Ukraine to put pressure on him. His chief of staff, Andrei Yermak. I met with him in Spain with Rudy Giuliani when Rudy Giuliani basically berated him and tried to force him. I mean, I know all these people intimately and all these oligarchs that are very close in the Russian world that now are discussing it. So we have a bunch of information that we're going to keep a spotlight onto. And hopefully we keep the light on because they're going to try to shut it down. I'm warning you guys. Don't say I told you so, but the only way, they're going to go after Substack, they're going to go after YouTube, they're going to go because these are the only places still that are available to be able to speak truth to power, and it's because each and every one of you. So keep doing what you're doing, keep subscribing, keep passing the message, and love you guys. Thank you for having me, Dean.
Zev, Lev, sorry, somebody, Evs, Lev,
Tomato,
really,
tomato.
just an honor again, brother. Great to see you as we continue to fight for democracy on both sides of the border. You have a great day. Thanks for your time, pal.
God bless you, brother. Have a
God
good one.
bless you too. Take care.
Take
There you
care.
go.
Bye bye, guys.
There's Lev Parnas. Just a stud, just a dude doing what a dude does to shine a light on the world's biggest dotard, Donald Trump. And he did time for it too. So he fucking means it, everybody. Right? He means it. He did jail time for it. So he's earned the voice that he has and the platform, and I would highly encourage everybody to subscribe because he dishes like he did there, which is incredible. Just a quick Cole's notes for all of our American subscribers, the majority of the subscribers that we have here at deanblundell.substack.com. We see you. We love you. We have no issues with Americans. We just have an issue with one and a few of his Trump regime asshole friends, which is why yesterday was so special watching King Charles come to town. We're not royal watchers here. We left that behind a long time ago. But when the King of England, who Donald Trump worships, like literally worships, shows up, basically says, "Hey, Trump, go fuck yourself. Canada's true north, strong and free." And then the prime minister of this country comes out and says, "We're going to separate our military from the United States. We're going to start going with different Commonwealth countries. We're going to build our military up. We're going to build an energy corridor so we can be an energy superpower." The divorce is final. The divorce is final from America until Donald Trump leaves, and then maybe we'll find some common ground. But it has nothing to do with America. It's got everything to do with Donald Trump. And I just want everybody to know that when we become a superpower, we're going to protect you because Donald Trump, you need to be protected from him. So it's what Canada's trying to do, friends. God bless the United States of America, minus Donald Trump and the Trump regime and maggots and hillbillies. Like we got the same ones here. God bless Canada. Not that I believe in God, but hey, let's throw it out because Lev sure does. And thank you for spending some time watching this podcast. Don't forget, you can get everything we do at Substack. LevParnas.substack.com is where you can find Lev. Dean Blundell substack.com is where you can find us. A couple of great pieces up there as well. I'll be back with the 5 stack and Zev Shalev from the narrative. We'll count down the top 5 stories starting around 3 o'clock right here. So come and join us. Give us a follow. That'd be great. If you're a paid follower, awesome. Always love all of our followers. And thank you so much for the ongoing support, whether you're Canada, the United States, or one of the 127 countries that people have subscribed from. So thank you, democracy loving friends. We will see you 3 o'clock on the 5 stack. Have a great day. Bye now.